Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome to How to Fill Your Rooms in the Low Season and Beyond with me, Yvonne Halling. I am so thrilled to have you join me today on this complimentary webinar. But before we start, let's just run through a bit of housekeeping. All right, so let's just run through a couple of things here. Have you switched off your email? Do you have your handouts and a pen? Have you switched off Facebook? Have you closed the door and let everyone know that you're not available? I want you to block off the next hour or so, and looking at all the content that I have for you today, we could go over by a few minutes. So just block off the next hour or hour to 15 minutes so that you're completely focused on what I'm going to share with you tonight. If you're like I was, you're probably feeling frustrated and maybe a little bit concerned about the way your income drops over the low season. And the reason that I feel that this call is so important is because of the results of a recent survey. It's quite staggering that 74.65% of B&B owners said that filling their rooms in the slow season is the #1 challenge that they're facing, followed very closely by 58.1% who are fed up with paying commissions to OTAs. Without the ability to fill rooms during the low season, you will almost certainly be suffering from the financial drain of keeping your property running without enough income, and you could even be going into debt each year just to keep going. Hardly the dream business that you envisaged, eh? I know if you're on this call today, you may have a sense that it's not even possible to fill your rooms out of the high season, and that you may just have to accept things the way they are. And what we want to find out from this call is why having your own system in place, which allows you to create money on demand, whatever the season, and without having to rely on the OTAs and suffer the pain of having to pay their commissions on top, which, as we know, takes a chunk out of your own profit month after month. This is really your way out of this boom and bust unhappy situation. And if you were able to attract guests yourself during the low season or at any time you wanted, how would that affect your life? I believe that cultivating the skills necessary to be able to fill your rooms whenever you wish is such an important topic. And for me, it's important that we learn those skills, and they are learnable, because once you have learned them, you'll not only be able to fill your rooms whenever you want, you'll also be able to set yourself free. And I know that's a bold claim, but I'm going to show you how on this call today. With this skill mastered, you can say goodbye to paying commissions to the OTAs and keeping all the profit for yourself. But not only that, that sense of perhaps a bit of helplessness and perhaps a bit of powerlessness that you might be feeling right now, and the seemingly uncontrollable boom-bust cycle of high season, low season that you may be suffering from, will completely disappear. I can guarantee that. You'll be running your business on your terms again. You'll develop a quiet confidence in yourself that you've maybe lost recently. And you'll also develop a deep relationship with your guests that no one else can offer. Because do you know what? Your guests are also feeling your pain on some level. And that in itself just doesn't make for a great experience for your guests, right? So maybe now it's time to put a stop to all this. And if you're interested in that, then you are definitely in the right place. So I'm thinking that you're probably going to be in one of three places. So turn to point 1 in your handouts and put a tick against the sentence that best describes you. You're new to this business and you want to know how to manage the potential drop in income during the low season. You've been in this business for a while and struggled with the frustration or disappointment of seasonal fluctuations and what that does for your income. Then you're going to love what I'm about to share. And if you are someone who has run a successful B&B for a number of years and is doing really well, but you still suffer a drop off in the low season, then this call is going to be the difference that makes the difference. However, this call is not for you if you're looking for a magic pill or a quick fix that will rain money down on you without doing any work. You're not prepared to make some changes to the way you do things and the way you run things, and you're not interested in learning some new skills and investing in yourself to get what you need. So if that's you, then you're probably better to leave the call now, because I just don't want to waste your time. So with that said, specifically, here are the takeaways that you'll have from this call today. So first of all, how the way you think impacts your experience and your results. The real reason you're suffering the boom and bust of the high-low season and what to do about it. How the way that we run our business, how we operate our businesses has changed. How relying on the OTAs is a huge risk for you. And the number one thing that needs to be in place to fill your rooms, whatever the season, high season or low season, which will virtually guarantee your success. And I'm also going to share some testimonials and some case studies from some of my clients that I've been working with. Now, for those of you who are new to me, and I see there's a lot of people on the call that I haven't actually met before, or maybe you've been introduced to me by a friend and you haven't heard me before, I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. So I'm Yvonne Halling, and I'm known as the Bed and Breakfast Queen because I took my own B&B in rural France from making almost nothing to making 6 figures in less than 2 years with just 4 rooms and no help from the OTAs. And personally, why I feel qualified to talk to you about this is that I was once where you are now, feeling a little bit trapped, maybe helpless and a little bit powerless. We have been living in France for 10 years, and I've been running a little hobby B&B business to keep me out of trouble while my husband was traveling with his fabulous job at a little champagne company that you might have heard of called Moet et Chandon. All that changed in 2004 when he lost his job due to a corporate restructuring, as you do. And so we closed the B&B business and we rented out our home and we went back to the UK where we thought we'd have more options and we thought it would be easier to find a job. But after 4 years back in the UK and following a series of emotional and financial disasters, my family and I were practically homeless, living in a caravan after a fire had devastated our rented home there. We returned to our home in France as the tenants had now left, but unbeknown to me, we hadn't paid the mortgage for almost a year, and then the gas was cut off because we hadn't paid that bill either. And then one day, I answered the door to find myself facing the bailiffs with the papers to repossess my home. And that was the turning point for me. We had lost so much money. We had lost property, we had lost our businesses, and we were in such a bad state emotionally as a family. Something had to change. Someone had to do something, and I looked around for who that person would be, and there was only me. So with the papers from the bailiffs in my hand, I just literally sat down and cried. I didn't exactly know what to do, but I knew I had to do something. I just couldn't let them take our home. And what I realised at that time was that I had completely abdicated my responsibility. I had let things drift on, not bothering to ask any questions to find out what was really going on. I just assumed that someone else, and in this case my husband, was taking care of everything and I could just ignore it. I knew then that I had to take 100% responsibility for my life and be all in regarding the outcomes that I wanted. I had to be 100% committed to that, and so I got really busy. I invested in lots of online training courses, lots of online training programs, listening and learning from people who were successful. I maxed out my one remaining credit card, investing in learning how to do marketing, how to sell, and how to run a real business, because I just didn't know. I invested in myself and my mindset and my attitude so that I could show up as my best self every single day. I was completely obsessed with learning everything I could get my hands on, as if my life depended on it. And you know what? It did. And I poured all that new knowledge and all those new skills into the only thing I knew how to do at that time, and that was my B&B business. I had never made more than 10,000 euros, which is about $12,000 and about £8,000 right now, a year previously. But I resolved to do everything I could to make my little B&B make enough money to support me and my family. And within 2 years, it was making over 100,000 euros with just 4 rooms. And that today is the equivalent of about 120,000 US dollars. I then won 3 hospitality awards in 2012, 2013 and 2014. And in 2013, I won a well-known online marketing award. I then wrote a book, which is available on Amazon, and was asked to present at industry events, both in the USA, and here's me speaking at the UK Bed and Breakfast Show in Bristol earlier this year. And so specifically, what I learned was this, and please fill in the blanks in your handouts for point number 2. The way I think determines how I act, which determines the results I get. The way I think determines how I act, which determines the results I get. I can do anything I make a decision to do. I can do anything I make a decision to do. And my outer world experience is a reflection of my thoughts and beliefs. My outer world experience is a reflection of my thoughts and beliefs. And this is what I now teach people through all of my coaching and mentoring programs. I also teach strategies and the how-tos, of course, on how to fill your rooms in the low season and more. And this is my gift to the world. And for those of you who want to know how to do this, I have broken it all down to show you how to use this in your business and in your life. And what I want you to embrace is that having the ability to fill your rooms in the low season and the high season yourself will actually change your life for the better, because it's not just the strategy and the how-tos that count. It's also what changes inside of us that really matters. So today, I'm going to promise to teach you as much as I can in the time we have together, but I know from experience that some of you will want to take the transformation that you start today even further. So what I want to promise to do before I close is to let you know how you can get even more of this material and more help. So there are a number of steps to filling your rooms in the low season, but I was thinking if I could just give you a starting point, then you'd leave today with enough to go and get started with. Makes sense, huh? So going back to my first point then, let me just explain why your internal world is so important. So earlier I said how the way you think will impact your experience and your results. So what do I mean by that? You might be someone who sometimes says, well, the reality is. But in truth, reality is very subjective, and each one of us has our own version of reality. Have you ever watched a news report on a car crash or a violent incident, and the reporter interviewed several people who saw what happened? And have you ever noticed how each of them have a different take on it? Well, that's what I mean by individual reality. It's subjective. So how does all this relate to your ability to fill your rooms in the low season? Well, bear with me just for a second and I'll get to it in a minute. But for now, can we agree that how we think really does determine how we act? And then that determines the results that we get. So if you want to change your experience, or your own reality, then the place to start must be with your thoughts. Yes? So let's get to that now in the second point. The real reason why you're suffering the boom and bust of the high season, low season fluctuation and what to do about it is because of this. The world has changed. Let's take a look first at how it used to be before the internet and the online travel sites. When I opened my B&B back in 2000, I used to wait for guests to either knock on the door or call me up on the phone. I was listed with the local tourist office and they would often send me guests, and I never really knew whether anyone was going to come or not. And at that time, because we didn't really depend on the income, it was fine. And if you've been running your B&B for a number of years, you'll probably have your own version of that passive way of running a B&B business. So now let's fast forward to what the majority of B&B owners are doing today in the 21st century. 91% are listed with the OTAs, which has taken the place of the local tourist office, and then TripAdvisor, which has taken the place of the in-house guest book. But can you see that the model is still passive? OTAs bring you the guests now, you deliver a great experience, and most people are happy. And then some of them write reviews and some of them sometimes return. And you might be doing a bit of social media and a bit of blogging, but it's not what I call strategic. It's still fairly passive. You have no control over who's coming and when, and you're just waiting for something or someone else to bring you guests. Can you relate to this? The real reason why you can't fill your rooms in the low season is because you're still doing it in the old way and passively waiting for business to show up. But the difference now is that you have to pay for that business. Now, in the age of the internet and technology, we have the opportunity to operate completely differently. And that model looks like this. We decide on who we're going to attract. Using our own guest attraction system, we build a relationship with them and offer them more products and services automatically via our system. We deliver an outstanding experience and they come back, even in the slow season, when we make compelling offers to them. And our guest attraction system brings more of those people into our world, and the whole thing just spirals upwards into an amazing experience for our guests and an increased bank account for us. And with this system in place, you can literally create money on demand, low season, high season, and on your terms. So in your handout then, at point number 3, take a look at those two business models and put an A or a B to represent the one you're using. This is business model A, and this is business model B. Which one are you using? And it could be a hybrid between the two. Now, to make this model work for you, you're going to need some technology, otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy trying to keep tabs on everything. Now, I use and recommend Infusionsoft. It's a customer relationship management system, and it's this technology that allowed me to quadruple my income in less than a year. I believe that anyone who is serious about their business needs this system, and that in the 21st century, you can't really run a proper business without a customer relationship management system. When I invested in this technology over 5 years ago now, there was and still is a fairly hefty setup fee of $1,500, but later on in the call, I'm going to show you a way to reduce that and still get what you need. And right now, I'm going to see if one of my clients, Barbara, is on the line, and she's agreed to tell you about her experience with using Infusionsoft and my systems in her B&B business. So let me just go and see if she's here. So Barbara, are you here? Yes, she is. Barbara, I'm going to unmute you now, and if you could just let me know if you're there. Hi there. Hello, Barbara.
Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, thanks so much.
Hi, Yvonne.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Hi, guys.
Hey. So Barbara, if you could just spend a couple of minutes telling us what your challenges were before you decided to work with us and invest in Infusionsoft.
Well, I have two guest houses in Windsor in the UK, and I had a problem with really communicating with my guests. I was spending all day emailing them because one of my guests' house has I don't live there, so they have to know how to get in. So I spent most of my days emailing guests with information, and I didn't like doing that very much. I wanted some more time to myself and to do other things in the business. Mm-hmm. So I found Yvonne through, actually I think it was on LinkedIn, one of those groups there. Mm. And I worked with her for about 12 weeks, and Alistair set me up on Infusionsoft. And I have to say, it changed my life, mm-hmm. because I then could have all the automated systems. So the guests were sent emails, and if they didn't reply to the emails, they were sent another email until they clicked the acknowledgement that they had received the information they needed. I sent out upsales to them where I can sell, I can either package together tickets, say, for Windsor Castle and a 2-night stay, or I can just get tickets ready for them, printed off in their rooms. So although I don't actually live in one of my guest houses, and I very rarely actually get to meet the guests, I can give them a really personal service on information on what they need to do, where they can go, their tickets, and everything before they actually arrive at my guest house.
That's brilliant, Barbara. And what kind of difference has that made to your life?
Just to now be able to free up my time so that I can actually increase the business by moving on to your the system that we've just completed, trying to keep in contact with the guests regularly, sending them out information on different events and getting past guests back. I mean, I spend thousands of pounds with Booking.com and these other OTAs. And the more money that I can keep for myself by setting these systems up and getting my repeat guests back or starting with new guests will just be tremendous.
So how are you feeling about your business now, having put these systems in place?
Oh, I feel great. I feel as if I'm in control. Mm-hmm. I feel that I don't have to sit behind a computer all day. Mm-hmm. If I want to go off and have a game of golf, I will do. Or if I want to spend some time sort of creating new packages that I can send out to my guests and working on that and coming up with some creative ideas, I've got time to do that because I haven't got to really do the nitty-gritty, basic information churning out emails all day long. So it has been a remarkable difference.
Wonderful, Barbara. Thank you so much, my darling. Thank you for sharing your experience, and thank you for taking the time to come on the call with us. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, that's a pleasure, Yvonne.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm going to mute you back. All right, so that's the kind of difference that you can experience once you start investing in the proper systems and the proper strategies. So let's go to our third point now. Let me just get this technology to work. So relying on the OTAs is putting your B&B in great peril and great risk, even if you're successful with it now. Relying on the OTAs has two big disadvantages or risks for you. So make a note of these both in your handouts at point number 4. First, have you noticed how those commissions are not going down? Have you also noticed that they're trying to get more and more of your business by trying to get a piece of your other products and services, encouraging you to list those as well? And have you noticed that the only way to communicate now to your booked-in guests is via the scrambled email address on their system? Why is that? Because they know the power of owning the customer. They regard those guests as theirs, not yours. You are merely the service provider for their business, and you are paying for that privilege. Do you see how the balance of power has shifted dramatically in just a few smart moves on their part? Unfortunately, this is a trend in the online world. It's happening everywhere. In the UK, in the restaurant industry, there's an online booking site called Deliveroo, which offers food delivered to your door from one of the local restaurants. Restaurants have signed up to create more business for themselves, but now they find that their profits are diminishing. In real estate, it's Realtor.com in the USA and Rightmove in the UK. Real estate agents are unable to attract vendors without a good online presence, reaching potential buyers, so they are obliged to list with these giants, again, paying for the privilege. But don't get me wrong, these huge online marketing engines are great for generating business, but I think we can agree that if that's your only strategy, then you are going to find yourself at huge risk here. If you're realizing already that you cannot survive without them, and you may have even tried, then you are in a very unhealthy position. So keep in mind also that if they suddenly change the rules and you don't like them, they can turn off the tap in a heartbeat and there's not a single thing that you can do about it. So that's the first big risk to you. The second big risk here is being commoditized. In other words, you're on those sites with pretty much nothing to choose between you and the next person. You're not standing out. You look the same as everyone else, and in this position, you'll find it very difficult to raise your prices because you're in competition with everyone else, and you cannot win in this game. So what can we do about it? Okay, so let's move on to the fourth point. And what I'm going to teach you here is straight out of my Bed and Breakfast Marketing Breakthrough 90-day program, the one that Barbara was referring to. And I'm literally going to open up the manual and teach you straight from part one, called How to Program Yourself to Fill Your Rooms in the Low Season, Reduce Your Dependency on the OTAs and Make More Money and Have a Whole Lot More Fun. So the 4 stages of the B&B business. And most people never get beyond stage 1. When speaking with B&B owners, I ask them who is their ideal guest, and they are more often than not very reluctant to tell me. Often they have a variety of different guests, such as midweek business guests, weekend leisure guests, and sometimes family celebration guests. So they are literally just taking anybody and everybody who comes along. And if you can relate to this, it means that you are a generalist and you're just the same as everyone else. And in my experience, this is the road to price comparisons, competing with others, mediocrity and dependence on the OTAs, and the inevitable boom-bust cycle of the high season, low season scenario. Most B&Bs remain here forever until they are completely burned out or broke. So make a note now of where you are on this staircase. In your handouts at point number 5, where are you? Are you the generalist, the specialist, the expert, or the celebrity? So one of the secrets to filling your rooms in the low season, or even at any time you want, is to move up to stage 2 and beyond, to move out of the generalist category and into the specialist category and beyond, and have some kind of speciality or special interest upon which you can create reasons for your past guests to come back with their friends and family in the low season or whenever you want them to. Now, just a word of caution here. This speciality has to be something that you can relate to, not just something that you think will make you money. Of course, it will make you money, but it has to go beyond that. Otherwise, you could come across as fake. When you get specific on what that speciality could be and the kind of guests that you want to attract, it will speed up the process of filling your rooms in the low season. And just as a special bonus for attending this webinar with me today, I'm going to give you my process for honing in on your speciality. And this is a process that I take you through in my Bed and Breakfast Marketing Breakthrough program. But I want to offer it today to you as a gift just for coming to the webinar, and I'll give you a link to it at the end of the webinar, so to make sure that you stay to the end to get this powerful process. So how do you decide on what speciality, on what that speciality could be for you and the kind of guest that you want to attract? Well, here's the basic process. So make some notes in your handout. Take a look at your B&B and its location. Why do people come to your area? And then take a look at your skills, your knowledge, and your expertise. And when you can match up all three, in the middle there, you have what I call your sweet spot and your point of differentiation. This is crucial if you're going to get out of that boom-bust cycle of high season, low season scenario. So let's break this down. Your B&B and its location is fixed. You don't need to change that. And the reasons why people come to your area is also pretty fixed. So there's no need to change that either. But the area where many people struggle is identifying your own value in the third part of the equation. And often we need someone else to point it out to us because we can't see it for ourselves. Just to give you an example, a couple of years ago, I worked with a B&B owner who needed some help filling her rooms in the low season. And when we went through this process, she announced that she wanted to open a restaurant at her property. She loved the B&B, but she loved cooking more. And the funny thing is that when she announced her plans to open a restaurant to her close friends, they all said, well, of course you'll be running a restaurant. But she couldn't see it until she went through this process, but everyone around her knew it. She's now running her restaurant and offering cooking experiences at her B&B throughout the year. What is that thing that if you started doing it, those around you would say, of course you'll be doing that. It's perfect for you. Now, it might take some thought to actually nail this, but the process I'm giving you at the end of the webinar will help you. There's no rush, but if you give it the time and attention that it needs, you will already be on the right track to getting more guests yourself, which will allow you to fill your rooms whenever you want. High season, low season, whenever you want, and charge higher prices and dramatically reduce your dependency on the OTAs to bring you guests. Here's how it worked for me. You might think that it was obvious that we would focus on Champagne, being in the Champagne region, but it might surprise you to know that my area is also famous for the battles of World War I, the Marne and the Somme. There are monuments and cemeteries and sites literally everywhere in this region. And thousands of people come here every year, not to taste the champagne, but to search for their loved ones' graves, learn about the history of this great event, or even experience a reenactment of life in the trenches. And yes, you can do that here. In 2014, it was the 100th year anniversary of the Great War, and there were many celebrations to commemorate it in the region, but I didn't touch it. It would never work for me. It's not my sweet spot. I've been in the wine industry since I was 20 years old, and with my husband's even greater knowledge of Champagne, having worked at Moët & Chandon for 10 years, plus our extensive network of champagne producers that we know just through living here for so long, means that our sweet spot is helping people to discover the hidden gems of Champagne. I couldn't talk about World War I if my life depended on it. I know nothing about it. So with that speciality nailed, we've been able to create lots of champagne experiences all year round whenever we want. And just last week, I generated over 5,500 euros, which is about $6,000 and about £4,000 from one of our now legendary among my community events running in the so-called low season. And I did no marketing whatsoever for this event. Previous guests did it all for me. Now, I'm not telling you this to brag or to impress you, but to impress upon you how important it is to nail that speciality, that special value, and to lead with it. Since defining our speciality, we have moved up to the next stage, which is expert status. and the B&B has become the vehicle for us to provide expert services to champagne lovers all over the world, as well as guests who just want to experience the dream of champagne. Through this process, another client discovered that she loves to help people through personal development, and so she offers a series of guided walks where she can coach and deliver her special value at her B&B. Another client has discovered that she wants to focus on wellness and has teamed up with others in her area, specialising in raw food and massage, and is offering special getaways for stressed out people who want a healthier life. My friend Jo is a yoga teacher, and she had a dream of running yoga retreats. And when she started her B&B, she was specialising in yoga retreats. She's now living her dream, been on TV, and has written a book. And through self-reflection and inner work, she has found her gift of helping people overcome addictions and is now the go-to B&B for this market. The truth is that there is no low season or high season when you're in the driver's seat of your business and leading with your special value, which brings me to my next point. But before I do, I just want to say this. Before you start thinking, well, that would never work for me, search beyond the obvious for your sweet spot and then do your research to find your speciality. You might just surprise yourself. And keep in mind here that your thinking is determining your experience and your results, and you'll need to be aware of what thoughts pop into your head as you're listening to me here, and then question where they're coming from. There's a reason why you live where you do, there's a reason why you do what you do, and there's a reason why you're on this call with me. So just sink into that for a moment here. This is a completely different way of thinking, I know, and that requires a different mindset, which is the hardest thing to get around. I know this too. I understand, and that's why I spend a lot of time coaching my clients in this regard. How long does it take? Who knows? But what I do know is if you don't begin to change your mindset, then nothing else will change, nothing at all. And the good news is that this change is entirely in your hands. You just need to decide that you're going to do it. And when you've made that decision, you'll find that the resources you need will just simply show up for you. Here's what one client said. Chris, she said, I think that the hardest thing I had to overcome was my own preconceived notions that I had where my business was concerned. Probably because I've been doing it for so many years and I thought I had it all figured out. And then I could see that I didn't. Probably the new people and those that have grown up with all the internet concepts we use today will find it easy. But if you get some experienced people like me or those without any marketing background, it will be more challenging. That's why I love the weekly phone calls and Facebook group, so we have a place to go. So important and a valuable tool. Plus, getting to know the others from around the world is a game changer for sure. So at point number 6 in your handbook, in your handout, take some time after the webinar to give this some thought on your speciality and your special value. You have it within you. You just need to go through the process that I'll give you at the end of the webinar. So let's move on to our last point for today. The one thing that you need to install in your business to almost guarantee your success. When you've got this sweet spot thing and your speciality thing nailed or handled, because you've been through the steps that I'm sharing, you'll feel tons more powerful and creative, and that you'll be able to turn down all that marketing spiel that comes from the online travel agents and their partners. But you'll also need to take great care of your new community. For new booked in guests, you want to be able to let them know about your other products and services before they arrive, thereby not only increasing your guest spend, but delighting them beyond what anyone else is doing. And you'll need a system to do this, just like Barbara has. You'll also want to help those who make inquiries to make a great decision to choose you. And you'll also need to build a proper database of those guests, because you want to keep in touch with past guests so that you can make compelling offers to them. And that's how you fill your rooms in the low season. You'll want to give them reasons to come back, and they'll want to refer you to their friends who are like them. And of course, you'll need a system for that as well. And this is what Infusionsoft's customer relationship management system will do for you. And once you've got these systems in place, pretty soon, even before you know it, you'll have your own virtual cash machine, which means that when you communicate with your past guests with a compelling reason to return, they will respond with their bookings. You will have built your own virtual economy, no more at the mercy of the boom-bust cycle of the high season, low season, or the big OTAs and their hiked up commissions, but serving a specific group of people to whom you can relate and who you can help in a much deeper and meaningful way than your average B&Bs down the road, who are still feeling helpless and powerless and more likely even a bit worn out, but not you. So to fill your rooms in the low season or whenever you want, you need 3 things. So go to point 7 in your handout and write this down. The first thing that you need is the right business model. Are you using business model A or B or a hybrid? You've got to have the right business model to fill your rooms in the low season. You've got to have your special value nailed. You've got to have that leading. You've got to be leading with your special value. And the third thing that you need is the technology to operate those systems. And when you've got this all lined up, you'll know how to not only fill your rooms in the low season, but to dramatically increase your income, whatever the season, build relationships with new guests, prospective guests, and keep the conversation going with your past guests. And as I said earlier, my bed and breakfast marketing breakthrough program goes into this in much more detail. And if you do choose to join us on that program, then I'll take you through a complete step-by-step process of becoming known as the go-to B&B for your specific value, and how to get out there online into the world so that you can get more guests without using the OTAs, paying their commissions, and fill your rooms in the low season or whenever you choose to. So just take a sip of water. I've been talking here for, I don't know, maybe 30, 35 minutes. And what I want to end with is how you can take this transformation that you've already begun here even further by joining me on the Bed and Breakfast Marketing Breakthrough 90-day program. And I'm thrilled to announce today that I'm going to be doing something special if you're ready to go further. If this speaks to you, then stay tuned. So let me tell you a little bit about that, and then I'll finish off with some closing thoughts. If you remember back to when I talked about how your thinking determines your results, and the experience that you have, this is the very first part of the program. And when we've got this one down, everything else becomes so much easier. You'll find that when you've identified what you're thinking, you'll be able to do the following steps and start filling your rooms in the upcoming low season faster than you ever thought possible from where you're at right now. I was telling you earlier about how taking anybody and everybody means you're a generalist, and how that kind of business will always be kind of mediocre, competing on price alone and totally dependent on the big marketing machines like the OTAs forever. What you'll learn in this program is how to step off that merry-go-round and claim a space for yourself, for your expertise and knowledge, so that you can serve that group of people, which means filling your rooms in the low season and getting more guests will be more like attracting bees to the honeypot, and you are the honeypot. So if you want more of that, then you need to join me on this 90-day program. If you cast your mind back to when I spoke about the match between your B&B and its location and your skills and expertise and knowledge and the reasons why people come to your area, and when you put all 3 together, you'll find your sweet spot. You'll definitely want to be on this program as we put all of that together and nail your speciality and get the word out about you and your new go-to position that you're now claiming. You'll also remember that I talked about Infusionsoft and the systems you'll need to make all this happen seamlessly and effortlessly without making more work for you, but increasing your bottom line and adding value to your guests, whatever the season, just like Barbara does. So just let me run through all the details of what I'm offering so that you are clear on everything. So what's included in Bed and Breakfast Marketing Breakthrough Program? I will give you my proven system for filling your rooms in the low season or whenever you want. and increasing your guest spend and attracting more guests while positioning you as the go-to B&B in your area, so you can start attracting the right guests and instead of taking anybody and everybody at any price. You're going to get my proven systems for doing all that. You're also going to get my templates for building relationships with both past guests and prospective guests, which will allow you to wean yourself off the OTAs and keep all the profit for yourself. You're also going to receive my step-by-step process to connect with your newer guests before they've even made the decision to come to your area, which means that you are already top of mind in their decision-making process and you are the obvious choice for them. Plus, I'm going to give you 2 juicy bonuses, the 10 common website mistakes that most B&B owners are unwittingly making, and that's an online training valued at $127. But it's yours today when you join the program, completely complimentary. I'm also going to give you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile training to attract more guests, and that's an online training worth $147, and again, that's yours completely free when you join us today. So by now, you're probably wondering what the investment is, so I should say a few words about that. First of all, this is really an investment in you, and it's an investment in your future. It's an investment you're making in yourself that can literally change the way you think about your B&B, and it can change your life. I know this to be true because I've seen it happen time and time again with my clients. Take Claire in Scotland. She said, Yvonne completely changed our mindset and our attitude to our B&B business. The impact has been positive, both financially and emotionally, and we now understand how this business really works, because I think a lot of people are in the dark about how this business actually works. Or John in New Zealand, who said, within 1 season, I've increased our takings over 20%, even though we were closed for 6 months while we renovated 2 of our rooms. I'd strongly recommend any B&B owner to get Yvonne's help to get them past their stumbling blocks and create a business that works and that they really enjoy. So today could be the day that you look back on years from now and go, wow, that day was priceless. So what would you pay for a transformation like that? What would you invest for a transformation like that? Just think about the thousands that you could be paying in commissions to online travel agencies this year and last year, and maybe even next year if you don't change anything, and what it would mean to you to keep that money for yourself. How much would you pay to know how to generate bookings in the low season so you'd eliminate the boom-bust cycle that you could be suffering from? Is it $5,000? Is it even $10,000? Well, look, I know that that's a big investment for some people, and I want my work to be accessible to everyone who really wants it, who's really ready to take the next step. And usually for a training like this, I would be asking for an investment of $1,997. And the Infusionsoft setup is usually $1,497. And then your monthly subscription to Infusionsoft is $199. And the 12 weekly coaching calls are valued at $2,367, and the private Facebook group, I'm told, is priceless. The bonuses are worth $274, and the total investment would normally be $6,132. But I know that that's out of reach for most people, so I want to do something special for you here today. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my complete step-by-step process on how to fill your rooms in the low season or any time, how to increase the amount guests spend with you, and how to bring more of your ideal guests into your world during the next 90 days. I'm going to give you my step-by-step process to identify your speciality so you can differentiate yourself and get out of that game that you can't win forever. I will show you how to position yourself as the go-to B&B or guest house so you are no longer struggling in the mediocrity of the commoditized market. I'm going to show you how to get into the right mindset to make you more money so you can finally have the business you dreamed of and stop the feeling of helplessness that the boom-bust cycle brings you forever. I'm going to show you how to use Infusionsoft technology to streamline your systems so you free up your time just like Barbara, to enjoy your life and business while delighting your guests and becoming more professional. I'm going to give you 12 weekly coaching calls where you get on the call live with me and you can bring your questions and challenges and get them answers to keep you moving forward so you'll never feel stuck. I'm going to give you the private Facebook group to ask more questions and get real-time help. And you also get hands-on technical support from our Infusionsoft expert, Alistair, that Barbara mentioned. I'm also going to give you those 2 juicy bonuses that I mentioned earlier, the 10 common website mistakes, and you'll be amazed when you see what they are. And I'm also going to give you the online training of how to optimize your LinkedIn profile to attract more guests. And so today that's going to cost you, the investment is going to be $997 or 3 payments of $347. Your Infusionsoft setup is included. There's no payment for the setup. The weekly coaching calls are included. The private Facebook group is included. And the 2 juicy bonuses are also included. You'll have to pay a monthly subscription to Infusionsoft of $199. So what I'm saying is that you can get started on Bed and Breakfast Marketing Breakthrough 90-day program today for less than $550. And when I checked earlier, that's about £350 UK pounds. And I'm making this available until next Sunday, and you can have all of this and join us now for just 1 payment of $997 or 3 payments of $347. So this isn't a lot of money. In fact, it's very little money when you put it into perspective and consider it an investment made in yourself that will serve you for the rest of your life. And when you know that by investing in this, it will mean that you'll be able to fill your rooms in the low season, wean yourself off the online travel agencies and keep all the profit for yourself year after year. Remember back to earlier when I told you about how keeping in touch with your past guests will speed up the process and how that being with the OTAs is actually damaging your business, even if you're successful with it today. This complete 90-day program will show you how to reconnect with those past guests and over time allow you to make offers to them on a regular basis, filling your rooms in the low season or whenever you want, and end that boom-bust cycle of high season, low season forever. $997 is more than likely less than 10 bookings in a whole year. And what I will teach you will never ever go out of fashion. It's fundamental to your business and it's your gift to yourself forever. So let me tell you how to book. Oh, and did I mention that you don't even need to travel anywhere? The entire program is online and you can access it over and over again from the comfort of your own home or office at any time to suit you. So here's what you need to do to get started right now. You need to go to this webpage, bedandbreakfastcoach.com/BBMB. And when you get to that page, you'll see my story. You'll see the story I've taken you through tonight. Keep scrolling down to the bottom and you'll see some pictures of me and some pictures of testimonials from my clients. And you need to scroll right down to the bottom past the normal price of $6,132. Keep scrolling and go right to the bottom of that page to see the offer that I've just made for you. All you need to do is click on the blue Register Now button and you'll be taken straight to an authorization form first, which lays out what you're getting. And that authorization form looks like this. Fill out that form and then click on the button at the bottom of that form and you'll be taken straight to the order form where you'll choose your payment option, either the 1 payment of $997 or the 3 pay option. And then you're in. And our system will then send you an email right back confirming your purchase with your login details and you can get started straight away on the pre-program preparation and the bonuses. The main program starts on Sunday, 13th September, when Module 1 will be released to you, and our first coaching call is on Wednesday, September 15th, and all calls are recorded. This is a special price for you, and it goes away next Sunday, September 13th. Now, if you like, you can wait until next week and miss the special offer of just $997, but even if you purchase it at $6,132, and many of my clients have, I can assure you that the transformation will still be worth every penny. But look, why not just go ahead now and save yourself $5,135 and get it now for just $997. So go ahead, click on that blue button, click on that button at the bottom of the page, and I'll see you on the inside. And I'm so excited that you'll be joining us and that I'll be assisting you in this transformation of your business and your life. I can't overstate how you will transform through this process. It's happened time and time again. So let me just give you a couple of minutes to get registered, to go through that process, and then I'll take some questions.
Before working with Yvonne and coming on this program, my specific challenges were knowing how to do what I wanted to do. I always tried to keep up with things, and I knew I needed to contact people, and I have a reservation system that allows me to do some of it, constantly be in front of people and make offers, and I just felt challenged on a technical level, but also, you know, people say write, and you go, okay, write, but how do you write, and how do you do these things? So before working with Yvonne, those were basically some of the problems I had with my business, really trying to go forward. This program has helped me because the information that I've learned is very specific. There is no step left out. She doesn't just say, go write this. She actually gives you examples of what to write, how to say things, what's going to make an impact, how to lay out your program, how to use the Infusionsoft so that it sets it up automatically, which is the key. I mean, to not have to do some stuff every minute of the day to try to keep in touch with people is absolutely amazing, and that's the part that I really like. My biggest takeaways and aha moments were many, actually. In learning to work with the Infusionsoft, she lays out a program that you can follow so that you can duplicate it. And once we got all the steps in place, it was like, oh, I see how that works now. And some of the steps involved just took a little bit of time, but then eventually it was there. I got it. And then some other things that I found were working with, for example, the social media. She's really good about telling you how to get that all set up and what to say and how to make it meaningful. And just the aha, oh, it's not about what I do for the guest. That, I think, is the biggest thing, is to trying to turn it around to make it so that the guest is welcome. And I've had lots of experiences. I have a guest here now that had an experience with a neighbor B&B who was very rude to them, and we're still amazed at how somebody could be this rude to them, and then they found me, and I was able to accommodate them at the last minute, and they're just amazed at how everything is just so oriented to their needs. And I think that's the big key with Yvonne, not only her technology but her philosophy about how you work your business and what you do, and keeping everything open and above board, and yet making it your business, and also having fun in your business. You know, you don't want to do things that aren't fun for you as well. And that was the other big thing for me, because you're thinking, oh, this is work, I really got to get this done. But really, if you think about what is it that I like to do and incorporate that into my business, then everybody wins. And I think that was probably the biggest takeaway for me. All this other stuff works towards helping me have fun in my business because I know how to make it happen, and before I didn't. If somebody's on the fence and they're really not sure what's ahead for them, I totally relate, because it is a total mindset shift. I've been in the business a long time, and you know, you think you know stuff, and I do know stuff, but I don't know her stuff. So the biggest thing that you're going to have to realize, it's going to take some time. You're going to have to set some time aside every day. So time management becomes a real in your face kind of a thing, but then isn't it always? I mean, otherwise how can we get things done? But you have to set aside time to work on your business rather than in your business, or you're never going to move forward, and you're never going to get ahead, and you're just going to be in the same old rut that you've been in all these years and letting everybody else tell you what to do. I want to be to do this because it is a challenge, and that's what I liked about it, was that it challenged me to be better and to think differently and be part of this new world that we're in with the internet and how people are marketing themselves and just running their own businesses. So I would say the time management and keeping an open mind are the two biggest things that you're going to have to decide ahead of time, because it is a commitment, and I fortunately was able to do that, and as a result of that I feel like I really had a wonderful experience.